make sure that those that have joined actually get a chance to go through it. If people join as we go, we'll invite them, pause and welcome them, and then we'll continue on the journey. But basically, Amber, Jason, Garesh, when you've finished your snacks or you have an opportunity to turn your camera on, absolutely, you're welcome to do so, and then we can see your wonderful faces. But appreciate Amber's just eating her lunch, so don't stress too much. Okay. Always, we begin by acknowledging the lands of the traditional owners on which we meet today. For me, that's the Wurundjeri people. I invite you to pop in the chat where you're meeting us from today. We acknowledge at Melbourne Business School that sovereignty was never ceded, and we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country throughout Australia, their connections to land, sea and community, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and anyone that may be here today. Welcome to the virtual classroom. As I said, and I will say every session, we are still piloting, iterating, learning about this technology. There's still some little minor glitches that you may experience. Please bear with us. It's iteration as we learn and grow. Thank you for coming and joining a session in such a space. It's really amazing as a facilitator. If you ever want to walk through and get a sense of what it's like, reach out. It's amazing to stand in front of the screen and feel actually like I'm looking at each of you and can engage with each of you, even though you're not here in person, and some people joining us from Sydney and other places around the country or globe. So thank you so much. Help. The support button actually leads you to our technical team at the back for any technical inquiries. We have a whole production studio that you can't see that's sort of sitting behind a screen. And Alexander Horton, our community manager, will hopefully, if he hasn't already, introduce himself in the chat. He is there to help with any questions, help us with the polls, help us with breakout groups, and doing a lot of great work behind the scenes. So thank you, Alex, for your support in the creation of this session and in everything with the Incubator so far. I can see that we've got a few people. I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but Noongarwal land, I believe. Darug land, thank you. We pay our respects to those people as well. Agenda. I told you we're going to have a big agenda. MBS and our collective mission. You'll see me keep coming back to this every session. The reason for this is I'm reading a book called Belonging at the moment. If you haven't heard of it, highly encourage a read. I'm really inspired by it because I think the collective connection back to a mission and purpose is really important and will help only accelerate what we achieve together. So I want to come back to that each session just briefly. We'll then recap on last session. So for those that missed out, don't stress. We'll go back there for a little bit and show you the results. We'll give you an update on phase 2. We've just completed that at the end of last week, which is really exciting. This week's been a bit of a pause and stage gate reflection week. Next week, we're into prototyping, and you're kind of kicking that off for us today in one of our activities, which is getting you to sort of visualize what the top 5 ideas that have come through our prioritization process might look and feel like as a user to you. So that's the activity. We'll spend probably 20 minutes there, maybe 10 minutes presenting back to the group what we've prototyped. And by that, I mean, it's not scary. Prototyping can often seem scary, but I'm thinking storyboards, mood boards, rough visuals. I don't care if they're stick figures at this stage, like that's okay. That's what we're aiming for, just rough sketches on a page. This will then feed through into our prototyping lo-fi creation next week. So the first cab's off the rank to test these ideas and visualization with. We'll then do a quick check-in before we wrap up and let you get to your next meeting, hopefully a little bit early if we can. Anything else you wish to cover today that's not on the agenda? Nope. Great. I always take silence as golden. If you want to raise a thumb, there are, I think, icons just like Zoom or Teams that you can use as well. Coming back to the mission. So we're at MBS and we are a catalyst for trailblazers to solve the biggest learning problems and launch innovations that redefine how curious learners and organisations grow. Where do you fit in as the collective? You're our trailblazers. You're our ecosystem. You're those curious learners and or representatives of organisations or representatives of stakeholders that are curious about how we take learning into the future. So we're looking forward, we're looking at 3 to 5 year problems, we're trying to solve them, by creating a solution today and then evolving and building and scaling that solution to the point of tomorrow. So I just want to remind us that this is a collective mission. We can't do this mission without you. And hopefully we're bringing some value to the mission as well by providing the methodology, tools, and process, etc. Last session, we introduced you to 5 business ideas. 5 of the 10, we put you on the spot and ask you to poll them against desirability and viability. And there was some interesting alignment and dissent across the group, actually, which was really good for us in terms of feedback, because we took that and we distilled it down into the top 5, which I'll show you a bit later. But the 5 that you looked at were Learn to Earn, which is now called Learning Forward as a result of some iteration. That had the highest desirability across the group. So you said, actually, yeah, there is a target need. This could help meet that. And we think that this is something that customers would desire. Skills Match, which is now linked to Learning Forward as a kind of combined solution, and we'll walk that through in a moment, was sort of mixed results, wasn't super high on viability, and desirability was spread across the board, but more towards the lower end. Hence, we haven't put it as a standalone solution, but we think that this could be an interesting feature to explore in something else. And Skills Match was all about the informal peer-to-peer learning, human connection, without accreditation of skills coaches, for example, which is what the Learning Forward piece was. Credentialed Future Fit Leader, which is actually now LeadX, and I think these slides are outdated, but that's okay. There was some interesting, I think we thought, yeah, desirability, but viability was, again, a bit spread up towards the moderate end, but nothing that was very high. Guaranteed careers for the new economy. We did discuss the fact that guaranteed careers is actually a big statement. We've now removed that from the title. It is hopefully something we'll work into the solution, but the idea there is that it's helping solve some of Australia's economic challenges and skills gaps and needs by helping organisations reskill workers or upskill workers in advance of that disruption, so it's preemptive, and helping allocate or place them in a role that will actually support the economy in that way or support the business. We explore that a bit further, and then Pitch Your Role, which is now Job Pitch, actually had the highest viability of you all and did come through to our top 5. So you said, when we asked you where you'd put your money, you'd put it on guaranteed careers for the new economy. We had some people really disagree with that, which is fantastic, and we took that away as we reworked the solution. Credentialed Future Fit Leader and Job Pitch were also second best in terms of the rankings of where you would purchase or put your money. Any questions on that? We will go through the ideas in a bit more detail. I'm conscious that that's not a lot of detail. Cool. What we've done to get to that point. So we polled you in a very, separated view from the rest of the process for some that haven't been on that journey. But we did conduct 9 to 10 interviews, and we took the outputs from our ideation session that sort of distilled 140 ideas down to 10. We took those 10 ideas into our interviews with some subject matter experts and organisational representatives. You can see the split of gender there. We then did multiple rounds of prioritisation on this, synthesising the feedback, mapping the coding of the feedback from stakeholder interviews around desirability, viability and feasibility, plotting them on this prioritisation 2 by 2. And this is all in the detailed pack that's gone around in the EDM, so please feel free to ask questions about that. And then we used that to create our 10 business model canvases and detailed opportunity pages, which have a combination of market sizing, using a TAM, SAM, SOM model, and we did a bit of a competitor analysis and an MBS right to win or play. We looked at the ways we might build, buy, borrow, or partner to execute on these ideas. Out of this process came our top 5. So I've started touching on these. We're going to walk through them quickly. Alex has shared a pack with these ideas in it to support the breakout groups. So there's a bit more detail there for you. Job Pitch came out as a really high opportunity for us to really shake up the market around flipping the LinkedIn on its head, basically, and helping individuals pitch themselves as their core skill sets, their preferred culture fit, the non-negotiables, what they're looking for, and then for organisations actually to look at their jobs that they need filled and look at the pool of talent and skills and desired outcomes of these individuals and pick from that pool rather than individuals trying to retrofit themselves to a job. LeadX is interesting. So this is the credentialed future fit piece. What we're trying to do here is actually flip the need for programs on its head. So what we're sort of seeing is in the flow of learning come to life a lot more strongly. How might we develop a standard with people like yourselves, with academics, that identifies what a future fit leader is? And we're thinking the hypothesis is here more human as the sort of literature comes out. And how do we help them support the tension then between the system and what the system they work in is asking of them, and that more human side of leadership through observation against the standard, through some VR simulations to prompt them around future scenarios, potential interactions where it require a more human lens, or the types of things that fall into the standard, and through assessment and potential re-credentialing or re-authentication over time as the future needs evolve. So that's an interesting one that's come up. New careers for the new economy I've explained a bit about, so I won't harp on about that. I think that's pretty clear. Skills match and learning forward, I mentioned that those things come together. The reason for that is skills match was the informal and sort of more broader community type Tinder-like experience. Learning forward was more internal to an organisation and having MBS help informal learning happen in an organisation by putting a structure and framework against what a verified skills coach would be in that organisation at different proficiency levels, and helping organisations then, or individuals in the organisation, pay it forward by volunteering their skill set to another in the organisation as a verified coach, and getting some points themselves, and the individual that's getting that learning given to them also gets some points for going out of their way to learn, and then those points can be used on an internal marketplace for a whole range of incentives in the organisation. Credential, my contracts and projects is an interesting one. There's two dichotomies working at play here. One was which of a gig worker type career pathway where you could string together a few contract roles to help gig workers actually get the most out of their development and career paths, and so that they weren't just feeling like they were stuck flitting from role to role, that they actually could see the growth in their proficiency across a range of different contracts. And the other dichotomy of this one is actually internal projects, and I'm more so thinking around internal secondments, job rotations. We know organisations struggle a lot with that already. How do we potentially look at job rotations in a way that's stuck up to a credential of some sort for a particular type of skill set? Any questions on those 5? Any thoughts, any comments, feedback, curious questions? Kathy.
Hello, how you going? At the moment, I am currently preparing to transition from being self-employed for the last 5 years back to being an employee again. So having pathways, I created my own pathway as a freelancer during that time because it didn't exist. So that one in particular stood out to me as something that needs to be valued because it is such a growing pathway for people. And for me, it meant that I could be with my children and navigate the early years with them and also add value through the work I did. So yeah, I'm sort of in both paths, but any pathway that we can do to support people and the impact that we have through that is always valuable, is my thought.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's always so pleasing to hear the impact it could have, particularly on working mums and those that are trying to build their career at the same time. We know in the research that obviously is a big challenge. And so I really appreciate you sharing that experience. Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else? I'm going to move us on. We are going to do an activity the more engagement we have, the better this activity is going to be. I forewarn you. So I'm not going to speak at you for very much longer. You are then going to drive the conversation in breakout groups, which Alex will put you into. So we're going to go in for 20 minutes. There's 5 breakout groups. There may be a little less, and Alex, I'm calling out that to you because we've got a little less of you attending today, which is actually okay. We'll have 1 idea per group. So ideally what we're going to do is give you one of the 5 ideas, and we're going to get you to put the hat on of a particular user, and I want you to get into their shoes and imagine that you're using this service or product or experience, or you're purchasing it, or it's been implemented in your organization, or you're implementing it. Whatever hat you choose to wear, I want you to put that hat on, and I want you to then create a storyboard or a drawing or something visual, a mood board, a collage that represents what this idea would look and feel like to you. What would make it ideally real in terms of features and focus areas? So whether you draw that, whether you write some dot points down and then visualize the actual elements of it, I don't mind how you do it or what you get done, but I'd really love to see something at the end that you could present back to the group as to what your idea was that you got given and how you went about visualizing it. Any questions on the activity? Probably full forewarning, we're about to go through this experience next week. So we haven't yet gone through lo-fi prototyping. Our partner's going to help us go through that process together. And so I'm really curious actually to learn from you all what you come up with in terms of storyboards, mood boards, or the like. All right. Alex, have we got the breakout rooms? Cool. I'm going to send you in, and then I might pop into each group and allocate a particular idea once I know which groups you're in. Oh, I can see you now. Okay, group 1, I'm going to give you job pitch. No, group 2, I'm going to give you job pitch. So group 2 is Samantha Mueller and Jason. You've got... They're in their breakout groups.
Is topic.
Group 2, can you hear me? Jason
Yes.
and Samantha.
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. You're going to have job pitch as your idea. So in the pack that Alex has shared, if you want to scroll to that and start looking at what type of user you'd be and visualizing that idea to come to life, that would be fantastic.
No worries. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Where do we?
No chance to dominate.
Amber and Jess, I believe I've got you 2 in group 3. Hi.
Yeah.
It's so weird seeing this functionality come out to life. It's really cool. You have lead X. So if you navigate to the pack and have a look at that idea and then visualize that, that would be fantastic. I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I was just passively doing some training work, and I was talking to someone, and they said, like, yeah, we don't do interviews in here, and if you come and pitch what you can do for us, that would be great. I thought, oh, that sounds like a good plan, sir.
Hi, Jim, Garesh and Andrea. I'm going to give you new careers for the new economy. If you want to dive into that one in the pack and have a bit of a play around how you might visualize that, good luck. That is a chunky one. So that is awesome to see what you come up with.
Right. Good, which is new careers for new economy.
They'll come to us last.
Group 5, hello.
There we go.
Dan picked it. He's like, we're group 5.
Yeah. I'm sorry for making you wait, but you have the option. I'm going to give you the option. So you've got skills match and learning forward, or credential my contracts or projects. What would you both like to work on?
I'm easy. I don't mind. Which two did you say though? Skills match, learning forward. So that's an application that expands users' professional network in 2 minutes, takes the registered profile, 2 portals, and then the last one was what? What's the second one?
Credential my contracts or projects. So that's one Kathy said she's actually quite connected to.
Okay, let's do that one then.
Would you like
we
to explore
can.
that
That's
one?
fine.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
don't mind either way. So whatever.
Yeah, no, let's do that one. We'll do that one. We'll do credential my project.
Awesome. Keen to see
All
what you
right.
come up with specifically. I guess having that connection to an idea is actually quite interesting because you'll be a core user group probably of the service. So we can get you to wear that hat.
Okay, cool.
And also looking at it from the perspective of fresh eyes too, where you're
Yes.
So we got 20 minutes, right?
You've got 20 minutes. Yeah.
Right.
Enjoy. Call me if you need. I am here.
Okay, cool.
No worries.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So we've got. So let me just read this out.
Things here.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, good. So
How
I
are
was
you
just saying,
going?
it sounds a bit like Fiverr, but for more full-time employment.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. There's a few competitors in this space. It's actually, it's starting to boom is what we identified, but there's nothing that necessarily captures the skills. And the interesting difference that a chief people officer sort of put to us was if I could filter as an organisation on culture fit or the things that are really meaningful to me in my organisation and to us in our organisation, like values, culture fit, ways of working, i.e. hybrid, etc., that would be really valuable to screen out a fair few candidates, even if they have the skills, because it's ultimately then that clash between the person and the organisation fit. So it's something interesting to think about. You could go at this through two lenses. One is through the organisation hat. The other is through the individual and how this might look and feel for the individual.
Okay.
Do you know which lens you'll take?
Who's paying for it? It seems like the employer is paying for it.
It's hard to hear you again, Jason. I don't know.
Oh,
it's
sorry.
very muffled.
I was saying, who's paying for the service? It looks like the employer is paying for the
Depends on which
service.
hat. So if it's,
Okay.
it could be for individuals to pay. If an organisation wants to implement it as a recruitment tactic, then yes, the organisation would pay for that for you. But if an individual just wants to put their skills on the platform and put their profile on the platform, they would pay for that for you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll leave you to it.
Thank you. So should we approach it from the individual?
Yeah, let's go from the individual.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I will do. Thanks, Alex.
It was still sharing your other screen, yeah.
Template. I think I'm going to have to
How are you
share.
going?
Oh, actually. Good. We're choosing our template.
Oh, you're choosing a template. I'm very keen to see what template you choose. I love
Right.
that.
Jess is all over this, so I'm just going to say I'm coming along for the ride here.
Learning as we go. I like it.
Yep. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. I have
right,
just
can
been
you-
told we can't save your whiteboard. I'll need you guys to save that at the end of your sort of session before I exit you out of the breakout rooms. I think there's a download button, and then we'll get you to
Okay.
share that
Ooh.
with us so that.
All right. Where do we access the whiteboard? I didn't know we had a whiteboard.
There's a breakout board. Maybe we can.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm assuming we can paste things on there, or do we just
you
have
can
to
draw
write?
on it. You can paste on it. You can do whatever you'd like on it.
All right,
So we could
cool.
still
Let's
go
do
with
it.
your Canva, and then we can just download it and paste it in.
Yeah.
Gives us a bit more
Yeah.
flex, I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or if
And,
you want to
yeah,
do a
we've got the-
Canva and send that to us also,
Yeah, we
that's
can
fine
do that.
too. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever works
Alright.
for you guys.
Mhm.
I'll leave you to it.
All right. Thank you.
All
Which
right.
one would
A guaranteed role in a new economy. And it can be it can also be like when they're hiring new people into their organization also. It's not just the existing one. So it can be the new people. So the bracket, like I will just put I was looking at the individual lens, but correct, the organizations which are going through this transition phase, transitioning their existing workforce, or when they're hiring new workforce, that can be the bracket which they will be targeting. But you're correct, it can be, way it is written down, it will be B2B. or maybe this, or maybe they can target to another schools also, like again, it will be a business. So if another school will be also a business. So
Yeah, so I mean, it's targeted to employers who recognise that segments are currently or will be disrupted and need reskilling. So when I think about it, it's actually not that different to any existing, I do consulting on L&D, and organisations hire me to train and develop their workforce for their careers.
So group 4, what I'd encourage you to think about is you've got a whiteboard in your breakout group. Please feel free to use that to draw on, or group 3 has decided that they're going to use Canva to create something. If you've got a Canva account and you want to do it that way, that's fine too. But yes, visualize, keep discussing, good discussion. I think ultimately try and think about, rather than the competitors or what exists, what could exist that's not there today for this solution to work. Difficult, I know.
okay, now where is this white?
Yeah.
Structured, I'd say.
Yeah, and I guess we're talking about the context. Down the bottom there, it has a note to say certifications initially focus on existing MBS capabilities and training.
Yeah.
So we'd need to match it. The pathways would need to match. So you'd need to map what is the pathway and how does it achieve, like how does it map to the capabilities and training with MBS? That make
Yeah,
sense?
and the other one would be, I suppose, following on from that, the next steps, because it might be that you do a project management thing as part of this, and then you can go, oh well, the next step to that would be someone with MBS to do project management, or it might be a pro sci qualification or whatever. So
it's like when you do a checkout of a product online and you've bought it, and then it says you may also like.
yeah.
We need that you may also like this credential.
Yeah. So what is? So the must-haves you got here. So let me just recap from the beginning. So the user is individual professionals. They can be contractors and freelancers, but they could also be individuals within organizations that want to create career pathways and change their lifestyle or career pathways. Sorry, and then the must-haves are the pathways have got to be clear for the employees and the employers, and then it's got to be structured, so that it's easy to kind of evidence. It's got to have, so I'm writing these down at the same time. It's got to match pathways and map that to capabilities. There's got to be some kind of mapping going on. And then it might give you like learning recommenders. What's next? Those things. Is there any other must-haves that it would need to be
that covers it for a first ideation, and then it grows from there.
And then what about the last bit, which is a visual?
Thank you for taking down notes. Do you think we need to add those onto the breakout board?
Yes, I was just coming
Yes.
into
the breakout board.
Great chat. Really amazing must-haves, and I'd really, just keep pushing the thinking and ideas, because this is not an easy one to do, right? Contracts, as you know, can be really disparate. How do you actually credential a set of contracts or a set of projects to say, yes, the same quality, the same standard as this certification is this certification for that particular skill set? So there's some interesting intricacies here to be explored before this solution's viable, really. But
and also making sure it matches and also extends what MBS currently offer.
Yes.
As in, if we're talking about, I don't know if you heard us talking about the, it's like when you have a shopping cart and you complete your thing and they say, you might like this too.
Yes, yeah. add on this project and you might actually get this. It's sort of actually in that regard, it makes me think of I'm currently finishing my master's in psych, and it's sort of making me think of when you're in undergraduate, you do all of these electives, and sometimes you get an email from the university being like, if you did this one more subject, you could get a double degree in X. It's kind of a similar.
I did that. I completed a bachelor degree in the middle of last year, and on my last day, I had to catch up with the unit coordinator who I'd been working with, and he goes, you're already halfway through your grad cert.
Yeah.
I'm like, too soon, buddy, too soon.
So that's actually something interesting to think about too, right? People might want to just do the one contract. If we're saying that we're bundling them, how do we incentivize people to want to do that? Like, what's the hook at the end of it, and how often will they likely repeat this? But I'll leave you to it. When you put stuff on the board,
one question.
Could you save the board before we exit out of the breakout rooms? Just make sure to save it, otherwise we won't.
Where do you save it?
I think there's a download button.
Oh, you got to download it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Can I just ask one quick question?
Yes,
with the note on this one around it mapping to existing MBS credentials and training, is any of that accredited training, or is a combination of non-accredited and accredited, or like would some of this also map towards a unit within an undergrad or grad or postgrad degree or something?
It could do. I would steer away from. Well, I wouldn't steer away. The door's open. We're probably, just to be really clear, we're a private entity, Melbourne Business School.
Yeah.
So we are attached to the university, but we don't, the MBA and sort of the Masters of Data Analytics and Masters of Management sit with us.
Yeah.
But the undergraduate degrees don't. So it'd be interesting if that's part of the solution, to think about how we might navigate that system.
Yeah, I'm even thinking about, for someone navigating a gig pathway, to be able to then plug in the option where they go, okay, well, you've done this credential pathway. A possible step for you is to actually complete this once-off topic that gives you credit towards, a qualification with us if you wish to go down that pathway. So it's that sort of, how do you lead them through and not just close a transaction, you actually lead them onto a continuous engagement.
I really love that idea. I think that's interesting to explore. Yeah, thank you. I'll leave you to it.
Okay, bye. I love you. I love you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you going?
A bit slow, but we're okay.
We've got great ideas, but nothing on paper yet.
Have you seen the breakout board?
No.
Okay, there is a breakout board that you can draw and paste and do things on.
Oh, okay.
So it could be on one of the different screens that you have available to you. If you filter through, you might see something called
Is
breakout
that like
board.
the little arrows, or?
I can't remember the participant.
Oh, yes. I think this is it. Jason, there's like two little arrows that say swap sources. Is that it? I can see a white page now.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's it.
Yes.
Yep, got it.
So you can draw, and when you finish drawing on that board, please download, because otherwise we'll lose your great drawings and work.
Please download. Right. Okay.
Okay.
With the visualization of things, do you need a hand? Tell me the ideas you're talking about. What have you been discussing?
Yes, we need a hand.
Talk to me. We're all learning together.
Well, I think we've just throwing a few ideas out there, but we sort of were looking from the employee or the individual lens, but then sort of quickly talked about how an organisation could use this. Like if we were to create an app and website, one idea Jason had was it would be good for organisations to use something like this internally when we're looking at, there's internal roles or promotions, as a way for the organisation to tap into that data. So we were saying we could have an app that employees could brand, and the employees upload their skills, experience, projects they've worked on. and that's a really great tool we could use internally, but also for externally for the organisation to tap into external talent as well, if that makes sense.
I really love that lens, and the reason I do is I'll give you a bit of insight from the stakeholder interviews we went through. One thing that came through was some organisations are on the path of embedding a talent marketplace, which sort of, if you looked at it, is an organisational view down of job pitch. Like it's, what are our projects, what are the skills we're looking for, and then you come and apply for those projects and opportunities. One idea was potentially this can be a flipped version of the talent marketplace, where the people actually put up what projects they're looking for, the skills that they're looking to grow, like you're suggesting internally, and then have another portal for external, so that you can have that manoeuvrability internally, but then also have an additional access to a diverser range of talent externally to fill those projects if you can't internally. So I don't think you're off track there. I think there's something in that. And what I'd love to see maybe is on the visual board is a drawing of the different portals and what that might, like what filters or functions would you want if it was an organisation's internal view? What filters or functions would you want if it was for the external candidate market?
Excellent. Okay, I think that gives us something. Jason, do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah. Well, Samantha was also talking about the possibility of branding, so a company could pay for an option to have it branded for their own company as well. So that might be another revenue source.
Yep. And also the look and feel is really important. We know when people are learning and they're engaging with different products in an organisation, if it doesn't look and feel like their organisation, it often is very detracting and sometimes can be, in these days, seen as spam or something that they shouldn't touch. So yes, I love the idea of white labelling it and making it organisation specific. Maybe you could draw the organisations of your companies in your little visual.
I don't know how creative we're going to get in 5 minutes, but we'll do our best.
Outline wireframing. This is what we're doing. So just an outline of a screen and some dot points on functionality is totally fine. Don't stress too much. We're not assessing you on your visual design skills, just so you know.
Cool.
I'll leave you to it.
Thank you.
One of our words.
Oh, have we? Okay, good.
Yeah, we've got personalised with the word. Hi.
Hello.
How are you going?
We have done a fantastic mood board that talks to, I suppose, like the key kind of words and themes that we feel are important to drive quite an emotional connection with the concept.
Love that. Yeah.
We've got some keywords, but also some images. And then I think we were just saying that, what would be great would be to sort of prototype or visualize a sort of a wireframe of that experience that a person would go through if they were interacting with this product, if you will, and what that could look like. But that's where we've got to. We're just figuring out, it doesn't look like we can put something on the board.
Oh, you can't paste. Okay.
No, but that's okay. We've got,
I think can send it to you.
Downloaded it and we'll be able to send it. So
perfect. Maybe just pop in the chat, Alex, to talk to Alex to get his email, and you can just send it straight to him if that works.
Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome. Well done. I'm not surprised you're finished. You made a very quick start, so I'm very excited to see what you come up with.
Thank you.
But yeah, any writing on the whiteboard, if you have done any at all, just make sure to download that. But otherwise, all good. See you soon.
Cool. See you soon. I'm just going to change.
Across the university, what you want to do, but these are some of the basic things. If you already done it, similar thing. If you get your prior recognition of that one, but thing is, they can pick and choose what courses they want to do. Or
there's a problem with that already, is that for us to call things a bachelor or a master's, it has to meet certain content requirements, which means we can't have as much flexibility for an accredited degree. So in order to for something to be called an MBA, it needs to have specific things, which is why they all kind of look the same. So that's why you're only given a few units of credit for the electives rather than being able to fully customise.
Correct. Hello. Yes.
How are you going? Have we got to visualization yet? Or I'm hearing that there's a few challenges maybe. This one is complex.
I think we got more challenges. We started drawing, and I don't know whether it's the right image or things. I think, as we start deep diving into things, and we might be completely considering different scenario here, but we are having more questions to put in a visualized thing that we started something, but I don't know whether it will be right approach or not. So, Andrea, your thoughts on that?
I think that, yeah, we both have challenges and issues, but I think that we're both united around the fact that if we could create an idealized state of a learner creating their own ecosystem and their own world, that would be, and having things be able to be customized, because Garesh was talking about, you know, having VR goggles and being able to watch a lecture from, you know, choosing from which professor you want to learn from. And, you know, I'm a diehard around customizable LMSs. So we're kind of that same principle of, oh, if you could make things more tailored to you.
Yeah.
In a way.
I like that. And I like, I would also decouple it from university, because this one doesn't have to be award driven. It doesn't have to be bachelor degree or kind of master's degree or MBAs. Left, I've just got a warning. So I would just try and visualize something, even if it is that ecosystem, that personalization, pop a mood board together to say, actually for this to work, it's got to be personalized. It's got to be choose your own journey. It's got to be some of the things that you're talking about. You know? That's okay. That's if that's where we get to, that's okay, because we'll take that insight into the next round of prototyping and we'll share what we come up with through that as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All good.
Okay, perfect. You've got 1 minute to go. If you are drawing on the board, please download it at the top. Otherwise, we'll lose it.
We are moved. Oh, back in the room.
Oh. Did everyone download their board? That was a very abrupt 1 minute.
Yes, and we did a backup just in case.
Oh. Samantha and Jason, I'm seeing no. Oh, that's okay. Oh, that's such a shame. Okay, I did get a warning, but it was a very abrupt 1 minute. Quicker than I thought. All right, we're going to do some presentations. If you don't have your drawings or your mood boards because you didn't download it, that's okay. I want you to describe it and try and get people into the mindset of what you're thinking visually would represent this type of idea. So again, we'll be talking about between a few different groups. It might be just the mood, the essence, a few descriptive words, a few things that resonated with you as you were discussing the challenges or the complexities of the idea, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be a storyboard or a wireframe. If you've done that, awesome. If you didn't, that's absolutely fine too. That's the purpose of this discussion. So, who would like to volunteer to present first? Oh, Jason. Samantha, you've been voluntold. I love it. All right, off you go.
Yeah, we can go first.
2 minutes to present your idea. Or a minute.
All right, so we were one of the groups that failed to download the diagram, so we'll just talk through it. So we had the job pitch idea, which is essentially all about trying to make a marketplace for talent recruitment or retention. And from the potential employee side, we thought the value add for them is being able to firstly do all the basic stuff like upload your CV, skills and experience, but also add multimedia text in there as well. So you've got different ways to tell your story. So it could be video, images, and then also have AI supported feedback on what you've uploaded. So you could get feedback on your CV, how appropriate is it to submit to employers, and also get career advice. So you could put in your career goals, and it could help map out what type of jobs or roles you should be looking for or types of projects you should be working on. So that was largely for the employee side. Samantha, did I miss anything there?
You did amazing. We did a lot of blue sky thinking, so you articulated that very well.
And so the second side of the marketplace is the employers. So one of the key things is that employers will come to it if there's talent available there. And so we thought that for the employer, there's two case uses for that. One is recruiting new talent into their company, and the second is a way for talent retention and management within the company, so that existing employees could upload their skills, their projects, any new training and development they've undergone, so that when hiring or promotions come up, managers have something to see there. We also thought there might be a chance for AI-supported recommendations, both for external hires and also internal ones.
I'm loving this infused nature of the AI technology, a bit of sort of the HCM system functionality that can be tapped into is what I'm hearing there, and maybe a little bit of an additive focus or lens for both sides, the employer and the organisation. So well described and well thought out, and even without your board, which described it for you. Who wants to go next? Thank you.
I'm happy to jump in. Jess, are you happy if we go next? Can't see you. It's so hard to see everyone's face.
Yeah, we can do that.
Here we go. Jess, do you know if we can do a share screen on our visual? Do you reckon that would work?
I'm hoping we can. I just did share screen, so I don't know if that's done anything. Has that done anything for anyone else?
Not yet.
I can't see it.
No. It says that it's sharing. I'll send it to Alex, so maybe we go next.
Okay. Or maybe a picture in the chat if you want to screenshot it, potentially.
Yeah.
Dan and Kathy.
It wouldn't paste it. I tried to paste the thing in the chat and it didn't seem to work.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
This is technology failing me right now.
Do you want us to email it to Alex or?
Yes, if you could email to Alex, that would be fabulous. Alex, you put your email.
Dan, I'll do that.
Okay, share the screen button in the top right. Is that not working for Teams?
That's what I did. So I did share your screen. And then...
Okay. Alex, that's not working for the group. Alex has put his email in the chat. Let's do that route, and for next time, we'll work out share your screen.
Apparently, I'm sharing it now.
It might be permissions too. It might just be.
Yeah, I reckon it will be. Your security permissions allowing you to share. Did you want us to make a start anyway without it?
Let's do that while Alex brings that up.
All right.
So
Jess, you wanted to
lead X.
Yeah, go for it.
So we had lead X. I'm just opening our board. So we have a really, really pretty mood board that has a combination of words and pictures. So we took some of the keywords that really jumped out to us. So things like future fit, personalized, lifelong leadership growth, self-leadership, agility, and credentials. And then what we really liked about the concept is that it is accessible to everybody, really. So you don't have to be a manager to be able to demonstrate leadership capabilities. And this is a way for you to actually get credentials in leadership without having direct management experience.
I love that statement, and I won't spend too much time in your presentation, but it sort of decouples this idea between capability and experience. And I think for a long time as organizations, we're focused on the tenure. and not so much on the capability or skills. And I think what you've just said there could actually be a really interesting value proposition of this. So yeah, thank you.
I think there's some really interesting, because the core of people leadership is self-awareness and understanding yourself, how you show up, the impact, the ripple effect you create as a leader on those around you, or to use a different kind of metaphor, the shadow that you cast, and is the shadow positive or is it otherwise? So when you get to see our wonderful mood board, you'll see that we've got, ripples. You'll also see that we've got shadows and those kinds of things. So we were thinking about, those concepts are also the same for self-leadership. If you're leading yourself, you might be leading a function or a department and not necessarily people, right? Or you might be leading a process or a program of work. You still need to lead yourself and lead others as you go through that. So we kind of went under the hood to some of the underlying kind of concepts around self-awareness, impact on others, coaching, feedback conversations, supporting the growth of others, etc. I can see a mood board somewhere.
Yes.
Woo, there it is.
That's an awesome visual, team.
We really liked the one on the top right there, accept, understand and empower. That's really probably the essence of feedback itself. But yes, you can see the shadow there and the drop in the ocean and the ripples and so forth. You can also see on the bottom left around nurturing the growth of others through the hands and the small plant from flowers. So they were sort of our concepts there. And in terms of like if we were to move that into a bit of an activity beyond that, I was talking about, a really rough and dirty wireframe around what that user journey might be for this individual going through this experience of having their skills observed and validated and then personalised development journey built out, and adapted accordingly. That's kind of... Anything else to add, Jess, on what we did?
No, you summed it up perfectly.
I love this, and in the interest of time, we've got 4 minutes left and rapid fire 2 presentations to go. I think Alex may put Dan and Kathy's up. In the meantime, Andrea and Guresh, did you want to give a 1-minute spiel about what you landed on?
Go, Andrea.
Huh?
I think we just sum up the essence that we're, looking at potential challenges, and that I think initially we thought it was a B2C model, targeting the individuals, but when you actually look at the brief, it's more about targeting it to organisations. So, that challenged our thinking a little bit, but we're both really united with the fact that, the point of upskilling, if we had an idealised world, we'd like to create our own little learning worlds. Guresh spoke about using VR goggles. I was talking about customising LMSs so that when we are looking at this skilling piece, really using and leveraging technology, because reskilling's existed for a long time, but we haven't been able to do it en masse in a customised way to really inspire people as part of that reskilling.
Yeah, I love that essence. And so for context, team, they had new careers for the new economy as their idea. And it is a big and chunky one, right? Because as Andrea mentioned in some of the conversations, consultants do this a lot already. P&C teams do some of this already. And so the differentiation here is actually thinking about Australia's next economic shift and how we might anticipate that and reskill for those areas in a way that's on scale, en masse, and highly personalised. So that's the challenge, and I really love that you brought that to life. Thank you. Anything to add, Guresh?
No, all good. It's summarised well. Thank you.
Fantastic. Dan and Kathy, last idea. Alex, do we have the mood board or the document? Amazing.
Amazing drawing you're going to see there, which you spent a lot of time on. Shall I start, Kathy, or do you want to start? Because I got
you go, Dan.
Okay, so basically, it's an individual professional, so that's our user for this, and that could be freelancers and contractors or employees within organizations looking for change. The actual activity we had, the one we did was the what was the name of it? I can't remember the name of it.
Contracts.
Credential. It's such a long name. Credential my contracts or products. That's right. So basically, it was these individuals coming in, doing contracting, coming from multiple areas. It could be internal to an organization. We said it needed to be clear. It needed to have a decent structure, so it was easy to evidence for somebody doing it and easy to audit. It'd be easy to map it needed to have the ability to map pathways in, so you could see what you were going to do next, and you could even recommend courses, or you could even have discounts for MBAs or further courses in there. It would hopefully auto-log some evidence and be multimodal. There was some good talk in the last one there, your last pitch there, around connecting to LMSs. You didn't think about that, but that's not a bad shout to save actually creating something from scratch. And then the Kathy came up with the idea as well around the endorsement from a client or around that impact. So the evidence and the actual credential was sort of tied together more. And we thought this was going to be something that was going to be accessible, really easy to use, pretty agile, and lead on to more things.
Amazing. Kathy, anything to add?
No, just that we were very conscious of the caveat around the relevance to MBS's credentials and training, and also how that might lead people to not only complete a credential, not as a transaction, but actually as lifelong learning, where they're being tapped into different opportunities through their engagement with MBS as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it's 1 o'clock on the dot. You've stayed with me this far. Thank you so much for the effort and work. I hope you found that enjoyable to go through that process. It will be taken through into our next week's process of prototyping. I think in the interest of time, I'm going to ask you to poll one question and then let you rapidly go, which is really around would you recommend engaging with MBS to a friend on a scale of 1, MBS and to a friend on a scale of 1 to 5? This is through the engagement you've had with us to date, what you're seeing us doing, the ideas that could come out of it. Thank you. Amazing. Thank you for your time and energy. I know that this is in lunchtime. Please say sorry on my behalf to your next meeting or wherever you're headed off to next.
Thanks,
Dan,
all.
get some sleep from
Thanks,
the
all.
start. Lovely to meet you all, and we'll see you
everybody.
in the next session.
Thanks.